Hello, boys and girls, and welcome back to art class with Mr. Mazer. This week, we are going to take those beautiful leaf drawings that we did and begin adding color to just the leaves. Now, I'm going to show you how to blend 3 different ways. We're going to blend with watercolor paint, crayons, and colored pencils. So you can do whichever one you have at home or which one you feel the most comfortable with. Um, and so let's get started. So I want you to examine the pictures that I gave you to see the different colors inside those autumn leaves. So when the leaves start to change color in the fall, we can see them turn from green into yellow, green to yellow, into those orange and red colors, and maybe even, depending on how the light is, can get almost a little bit red-violet. So we're going to stick with those colors when painting our leaves. I'm going to show you how to blend red and orange together, because that's a pretty common fall leaf color. So let's get started. So if I'm going to do watercolor paint, I'm just going to do a little section of my leaf, but you are going to do your whole leaf. Now, one thing you do when painting with watercolors, I always like to wipe my brush on the edge of the paper. I don't do this because tapping the water off, it will work too, but that's going to splatter. And if there's paint on your brush, you don't want it to end up on your artwork or getting your table all dirty. So always wipe your brush. Now, I'm going to start by getting my paint real wet. So dip in the water, dip and get that nice and wet, and I'm going to wipe it on the edge here. Now, I'm just going to paint a section of my leaf. I'm going to start with my red on the edge there. You kind of smooth it back and forth. And wherever you see those little puddles of paint, you want to drag your brush through and get those smoothed out. That'll make your color a lot more even and your artwork will look a lot more beautiful. So smooth those out. Now I'm going to try to get very red on the edge and then lighter as I go in. That's why I'm dipping my brush in the water. So I go from very red to a lighter red. Now I'm going to clean my brush, make sure all of that orange paint is off, or that red paint is off, and wipe that there. Next, I'm going to go and do my orange. So I'm going to get that nice and wet. So I'm going to go back and forth. And I'm going to do the same thing in reverse. So I'm going to start orange over here. And I want to get a real solid bright orange color. And then as I get into my red, I'm going to go take my brush and go back and forth and pull some of that red color into the orange. And now I'm creating this nice gradient where I go from red into red-orange and into orange. Now, I can see I want a little brighter orange on my edge there. So I'm going to dip in the paint and go over that. Now, one thing I do want to show you, which is really nice about the crayon, is that it resists the paint. So you can paint over it and it'll fall right off. So I'm going to do that here. I'm going to go back to my red and paint over here. Now if I go right on top of that paint, so I'm going to rinse, get a little water here. If I go right on top, you see how that paint just falls right off of that wax? So the crayons have a wax in them, and wax naturally resists water. So you can drag your brush and go right over top of that. Now if you didn't push very hard with your crayon and it's very light, the paint may cover it. But if you push real hard and get a nice dark crayon line, you will always still see that paint. Well, you'll always still see those lines because the wax from the crayons will always resist. So now I'm cleaning my brush and I'm kind of just going back and forth to blend. So you can really have a lot of fun with this. So that's going to be just the painting. So now I'm going to go to colored pencil. I'm going to show you how to blend these guys out. So I'm going to keep it pretty much the same. I'm going to go from orange here into red. Now, with the colored pencil, you're always going to get the best results if you color in a circular motion. So going in circles, that's going to blend the color out so that it's nice and solid. If I'm coloring like this, going back and forth, you're usually going to see all of those lines. So try and color in circles so you can blend your color out. Now to go from orange into red, I'm going to start to lighten up. So I want dark orange here, and then I'm going to get lighter as I go in. So I'm going to lighten my pressure. So I'm not pushing down as hard as I was. So now I'm getting a lighter version of orange. I'm coloring in circles, blending it out. And you want to have a nice smooth from red into orange. And now I'm going to take my red, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing I did here, but in reverse. So I'm going to start real dark with my red, coloring in circles. And I'm even getting a little of my black crayon residue coming off here, but I actually kind of like that because if these are really autumn leaves, they're going to start to decay and fall apart, and so it kind of adds to the realism of this artwork. Now once I touch into my orange, I'm going to lighten up my pressure, and so I can blend in and go from red into a red orange. Well, looks pretty good, right? So that's how you can blend colored pencil. And now I'm going to do it with crayon. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing. So I'm going to go from orange over here. So just like I did with my colored pencil, I'm coloring very dark. And I'm going to get in, once I get to about halfway, I'm going to start lightening up. So not pushing down as hard, creating a lighter orange here. And I'm going to go leave a little bit of space for that red, but I'm going to still leave to get that nice gradient of dark to light. And then I'm going to do the same thing in reverse over here, where I'm going to start dark with my red. Color, color, color. And I'm going to stay dark with the red until I touch into that light orange. And then once I touch in, I'm going to go lighter with my red. And just like with the colored pencils, I'm doing circular motions too. That's blending the color out, getting a nice shade there. And you can always take your orange and go back over the red too and kind of smooth it out. So that is how you blend colors. 3 ways: colored pencil, crayon, and watercolor paint. Just make sure that your colors are next to each other here on the color wheel. Check the reference that I gave you, because they have to be next to each other to create a blend. So make sure you're following your color wheel. Now when you're painting or filling in color on all of your leaves, you can do them all the same way. If you want to keep same colors, you can do that. If you want to switch and maybe do a red-orange leaf and a green, yellow-green leaf and a yellow-orange leaf, it's really up to you. You can choose variety, or you can choose keep them all the same. Choose unity. It's your choice, because you are the artist. Hope you have fun, and make sure you leave that background blank, because we're going to do something with that next week.